Touch that dial. You're now listening to Debate Talk Free Radio.
Brother B.A. Ben Abraham, and I'm your host of the Man Up segment on Debate Talk For You platform. The objective is for all brothers from different walks of life to come together, link up, and build on matters concerning all various stages of life. If anyone would like to reach out on concepts and ideas, you can reach Brother B.A. at radicalrhyme1984@gmail.com. Again, radicalrhyme1984@gmail.com. Tap in. Let's build. Shalom. Shalom.
I come to you today in peace. My name is Imuna Yisrael, recent author of The Angry Quote-Unquote Black Woman Syndrome Revisited, Volume 1, Her Mind. It is a hot new piece all about the mind of the quote-unquote angry black woman. How does she operate in this society? How has slavery affected her? Just opening up really a 200-plus-year-old stereotype. So if you haven't taken a look as yet, go ahead over to www.imunayisrael.com and you can definitely check that out. Or you can just go to Amazon and look up Angry Black Woman Syndrome Revisited and see us there. You can check me on all social media, Twitter, Facebook, Periscope, YouTube, everything under Imuna Yisrael. So until next time, thank you for tuning in and definitely be the change that you desire to see in the world. One.
Yo, everybody, what's good? What's the word? You are now listening to Debate Talk For You presents the Man Up segment. I'm B.A. Ben Abraham, and today, man, we're going to have a powerful discussion concerning our righteous women in this Hebrew community / Christian community. But more condensed, I want to deal with the righteous Hebrew woman. And the reason why I want to talk about this because this is a topic that's been on my heart for quite some time, and I've noticed that there is a phobia or some type of hate or some type of misunderstanding when it comes to our sisters, our righteous women in this movement. There's a sister by the name of Mayana Johnson, and me and her and a few others were talking one day. And she had brought something up about concerning the sisters in the movement and things of that nature. We were just talking about that. And she brought up an incident. Well, it wasn't an incident. It was I don't want to say it was a situation. She was out publicly with by herself or with some people, and she had her head covered. And there were some men that seen her. And she was saying how they thought that she was a Muslim since her hair was covered. But then when she clarified to them that she was a Hebrew, the men's attitude completely changed towards her. When they thought she was a Muslim or when they appeared that she was a Muslim, there was a respect. But then when she came out and clarified and told them specifically that she was a Hebrew, the mood changed. And what are the stereotypes when it comes to Hebrews? They hate women. They don't respect their women. They don't treat women right at all. And Mayana is a righteous woman. So for her to be received in that matter, it really disturbed me. And ever since she shared this story with me, I decided that, you know what, this is something that has to come out. This is something that us men need to come out and talk about. So today, right now, I have one of our brothers out in Atlanta. I'm going to let him, I'm going to fall back for a minute, and I'm going to let him introduce himself. Go ahead, my brother.
Yeah. Shalom. This is Anonymous Hebrew. How y'all doing? Like you said, I'm out here in Atlanta, Georgia. Nobody special. Just want to, first off, take the time to give all praise to the Most High Yah, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. And I'm just looking forward to really conversating and really going in on different scriptures as well as from a psychological perspective and trying to tie it all in to show, one, who our righteous women are, why they've been left behind, and, hopefully what we can do to start to change that as men. That's it.
Thank you, my brother. And much love to Anonymous Hebrew for taking the time out and joining us. And most high willing, Anonymous Hebrew, he is a good. Most high willing, you guys will be hearing from him more often. The goal was to have him as a regular on the Man Up segment because the brother has knowledge, and the Most High has blessed him with information to share concerning the Scriptures. Period. And he's a good brother, and we gotten a chance to know each other. We're getting real close, so I consider him a brother, and I thank the Most High for him. Today, And the Moray, Yishtak, he's going to be calling in a little bit. And most high willing, we get a chance to hear from him. But we're going to get started. So the other day on the Under the Palm dialogue, they had a review over the movie called Black Panther. And it was just a movie review. And they had a caller call in, and he, for some reason, was condemning the women for doing a movie review, trying to say, oh, it's full of sorcery, and condemning them of be doing this and doing that, and they're supposed to be doing this and doing that, and they shouldn't even be speaking because they're women, and where's your husband? He's not present. And this was a Christian fellow that did this. I don't remember the guy's name. But the one thing I had noticed, and this is what maybe we can all agree, Anonymous, let me know if you're able to, if you would agree. If the Under the Palm platform was a Muslim platform, or the Nation of Islam, or any type of denomination within Islam, do you think a Christian would have been allowed to call in so freely and interject and interrupt their program?
Of course not. And it's funny that you brought that up. I didn't get to actually listen to the show live, so I was listening to it yesterday morning, and I was in a car and I was driving. I was listening to it, and it struck me the same way. Like, first off, you would have never been able to call any other platform and just spew like that. And then second, the way that him claiming to be a messianic believer, and I'm using that with air quotes, but claiming to be a believer and then coming at them women like that, like he called them, basically called them witches. Accused them of sorcery and all types of other things. But then when Sister Mayana just asked him for examples of how they was doing, he didn't have anything to say. And I think this is indicative of what's going on in our community, of how we are dealing with our sisters, how we dealing with our women, and not have no inkling of how to properly respect them. So yeah, I definitely agree with everything you're saying. It was wild to me.
I agree, brother. And this is the thing, when you don't have, if we are calling ourselves the children of Israel, God's chosen people, how are we going to be respected as men, as the men, if our women are not protected? But as you can see, when our women are not protected, then we have other people from other denominations who can come in, disrespect them, interrupt their program, and run nothing but a bunch of rhetoric. And one comment that really bothered me with this guy is because he said, well, hold on, I'm a man of God. You can't talk to me like that. I'm like, hold on, so what does that mean? So since you feel like you've been ordained to teach or preach or whatever title or position you have, all of a sudden now you have authority over a woman because you can't prove her wrong, or right now you're trying to come to a platform that you can't control because women are speaking? And we would not have this if our women in the Hebrew Israelite movement were protected. But as you can see, overall as a whole, our women are not protected because other individuals are able or allowed to come in and finesse or push their weight on our women. So, can you guys hear me? I just want to make sure. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you out.
Okay. So with that being said, what are the solutions that we can do in this so-called Hebrew community to stop this from happening? Because I can tell you this right now, you're never going to hear about a bunch of Christians or anybody else for that nature run up on any Muslims or anybody else. You know the Nation of Islam. Even though I don't agree with the doctrine, I do respect it for some of its principles and its discipline. Because one thing about Muslims that I know personally myself, because I have Muslims, I have an uncle that's a Muslim, and various other individuals that I know personally, their women are protected. They may be a little too militant at times, and some of their ways are unorthodox that we're not used to, that we've seen that can be very harsh. But one thing you would not do to a Muslim woman, you would not run up on her without any of their men being involved. And as you can see in this community, whether it be on social media, digitally, or personally, or locally, as you can see, our women are not being respected, especially our rights. These are our righteous women. If anybody should be all women should be respected. Let me just say that. But if anything, the individuals who should not be catching the flack are the righteous women who are sitting up here, who are praising the Most High. And when our women are unprotected, that is a major concern. That is a big problem. So my man, Anonymous Hebrew, if there's anything you want to bring out according to the scriptures, or if there's a direction you want to take this conversation, my brother, let's do it.
Man, this is exactly like what I wanted to start off talking about. So, first let's just take this thing back, I guess, to the garden, right? So when we read and we talk about the Most High creating man, and He put him in the garden, it says specifically, we read in English, it says, "And the Lord God," I'm starting at Genesis 2, verse 15, "And the Lord God took the man and put him in the Garden of Eden to dress and to keep it." Right? So we just deal with this for a second. And if we really go in and look at the words, I'm just going to deal with the last word, to keep it. And this is shamar. Right? And if we just do a quick, simple study of this, like even if we just do a strong, simple study of this, what we find out is this word is really just to keep, guard, and observe, give heed. Right? This is what Adam's whole job was to guard, was to protect. And so just dealing with this first part, as men, it is our job to protect our women. Right? To protect everything that the Most High has blessed us. We have been blessed to be in this position to wake up. We could have been born in the 1800s, where we was in the 1700s and the 1600s, with really getting yokes of iron put around our neck. But instead, we've been blessed to live in a time where we do have the ability to protect our women. But instead, we want to lord over our women. And if we really keep up with that and we read further down to Genesis 2, we see that is a direct reflection of the curse, right? Part of the curse is that now man would have to rule over his woman, and the woman would desire towards the man. But if we really just take our time and really understand Torah, we don't have to, I guess what this brother called in and talked about the other night, talking about he's a man of God and put a woman in her so-called quote-unquote place. When the Most High formed Adam and then He formed Eve, her job was to be beside him, to be a helpmeet. She wasn't to be under him, because if she was to be under him, she wouldn't have been cursed to now have a desire towards him. You see what I'm saying? So the first way that we really fix this is for us men to really come back to Torah and understand it is our job to protect our women and protect our children. I was in a counseling session yesterday, and the main thing that we were talking about was trying to get this man to protect his woman the same way that he would protect his children. And it's so important that we start to look at that and understand if we are to really continue to build this nation, the only way we can do that is to help our women, especially our righteous women. So if we're dealing with righteousness, we know that we're talking about keeping Torah, because we know in Genesis 15:6, the Most High accounted righteousness to Abraham because he believed, because he actually did what the Most High said. And we have plenty of righteous women in Israel that are trying to keep the law and unfortunately being lorded over by what we call narcissists or megalomaniacs, people that are so dead set on trying to impress their will upon people, not realizing that the goal is to empower people. How are we ever going to pull the other unrighteous women out of this thing if they don't see women being treated like the beautiful queens that they are? So the first step is to really, as men, to really understand Torah, and it's not about lording over people, but to really understand the heart that comes with this, and the grace and the peace and the love. Solomon didn't mistreat his women, all of his wives and concubines. David didn't mistreat his wives. Abraham didn't mistreat his wives. None of our forefathers and our ancestors, they weren't strictly patriarchal, as people try to put it. If they were, we wouldn't have had a woman judge. We wouldn't have had a woman queen. We wouldn't have had women prophetess. And this is all in the Tanakh. So we have to get to this and understand our first role as a man when we were put here was to protect and guard. It was to serve and protect and guard. Serve the Most High and protect and guard all of his statutes, all of his laws, all of his commandments. And the way we do that is to protect our women. So that's the first step from my perspective.
Man, amen for that, my brother. And let me just clarify something before we move any further, because I've been accused of this. I've been accused of promoting feminism. Again, I have been accused of promoting feminism because I choose to well, no, I should say it this way, because I surround myself around sisters who have knowledge of the Scriptures, who have knowledge when it comes to the Most High. There's nowhere in the Bible that says that I am out of order for listening to a sister that the Most High has also put His Spirit upon. This chauvinistic attitude in this community is unacceptable. There's nothing in the scriptures that tells us to be chauvinistic or have some type of hate towards our sisters. And this way of thinking of, like you just said, Anonymous Hebrew, ruling or being some type of overseer over other human beings, this is contrary. This is something that the nations do. But we want to call ourselves Israel. That's a damn joke. Excuse my language, Sal. But I am so disappointed, very disappointed. Feminism is a doctrine where women have an attitude to where they don't need a man. The sisters in this movement, including the sisters under the palm, they do not promote hate for men. I'm going to say this again. The sisters under the palm segment do not promote hatred for men. These sisters want to rule with their brothers. They want to rule with their men, not dominate, but they understand the commandments. They understand that the Most High wrote in the Torah, which we all claim to know, and we always propagate, and I think that's the problem with Israel. Israel do way too much talking and not enough putting things into action. Torah is an action. That's what Torah is. It's not something you walk around parading and hitting backflips, smiling about. You just do it because it's a commandment from the Most High. But in the Torah, it is written that man and woman are to have dominion over the earth. I'm going to say it one more time. It is written in the Torah, in Genesis chapter 1, starting at verse 26 and on down, that men and women are to have dominion over the earth, the natural resources, the animals, etc. There's nowhere in there where it was commanded that a man shall dominate his woman or a woman to be dominated. We don't see any of this until Genesis chapter 3. But for some reason, I can't call it, I don't know what, it's a spirit, but we have way too many enlightened Negroes who run their mouth, constantly say that a woman is out of order when she speaks, or a woman is out of order if her head ain't covered. But we cannot see any of these things in the first 2 chapters written in the Torah. But again, this attitude or this type of chauvinistic, niggerized way of thinking was not revealed by the Most High. What we're going to do, we're going to turn to the book of Samuel. Let me get to it. We're going to go to 1 Samuel. And we're going to go to a situation where it was the prophet Samuel. He was dealing with the nation of Israel. And something was going on. and I lost my place. I'm trying to, where was that at? I think it was a situation where when Israel came against Samuel. Yes, it's 1 Samuel chapter 8. And what happened was there was something that was going on. I can't remember where specifically what was going on. And there was something that the nation, the people, the children of Israel had said something to Samuel. And it's 1 Samuel chapter 8. I'll pick up at verse 1. And it came to pass when Samuel was old that he made his sons judges over Israel. Now the name of the firstborn was Joel, and the name of his second Abiah, and they were judges of Beersheba. And his sons walked not in the ways, but turned aside after lucre, and took bribes and perverted judgment. So these were individuals who were doing things for gain, money, prestige, just like we have people doing it today. Ain't nothing changed. Verse 4. Then all the elders of Israel gathered themselves together and came to Samuel unto Ramah, and said unto him, and I'm reading from the King James, Behold, thou art old, and thy sons walk not in thy ways. Now make us a king to judge us like all the nations. But the things displeased Samuel when they said, Give us a king to judge us. And Samuel prayed unto the Lord. Now stop. Let's go back to verse 5. And said unto him, Behold, thou art old, and thy sons walk not in thy ways. Now make us a king to judge us like the nations. Now this is the children of Israel. This is supposed to be the people who took upon the covenant, the light to the nations. You're supposed to be the light. And what is it that makes you a light? Your actions, the Torah. But guess what these Hebrews wanted to do? They wanted a king to lord over them just like the nations. And guess what we have today? Everybody wants to keep Torah, but everybody acting just like the damn slave master. This is what we have going on in Israel today. And we're supposed to be taken seriously. And we want the Christian apologists to stop wrapping us under one, putting us under one, painting us with one brush. We want people to stop calling us black Hebrew Israelites. We want people to stop treating us this way. There's too much of this going on in the community. Way too much of this going on. We want to be like everybody else, but we don't want to take upon the image of the Most High. As a nation, Israel was supposed to be the image of the Father, of the Most High God. But for some reason, it's this spirit that continues to draw, we allow to continue to draw us back away from his image. This is a problem, a major problem. And my man Anonymous Hebrews, anything you want to comment on that?
Well, I agree. I'm sitting here listening to you, and there's a few things that you brought up that we really need to address really quick, because when you're talking about, I want to bring the scripture up too. I'm just going to go back to Bereshit, to Genesis. And so when you talked about Genesis 1, when he said, the Most High is talking to who we know he was talking to. I'm not going to get into the divine counsel and all of that, but he's speaking, and we're going to go down to, 26, right. So this is the King James. And God said, let us make man in our image, after our likeness, and let them have dominion over the fish and over the sea and over the fowl of the air and over the cattle and over all the earth and over every creeping thing that creepeth upon the earth. So God created man in his own image. And just so people get this right, this is 27, he says, in the image of God created he him, male and female created he them. So that means from the beginning they were co-equal. And just so we don't get it twisted, then we'll take it to chapter 2. And so this is after the Most High has created Adam, and he looks down and he sees. And I wanted to wait for the Moray because I know he wanted to bring some of this out, but since we're here, we're just gonna attack it, right? And he says, and the Lord God made man, and he put him in the garden, eat to eat and to dress and keep it. And we covered that earlier. Now, when we go down to chapter 2, verse 18, and the Lord God said, it is not good that man should be alone. I will make him a helpmeet for him, right? So this woman was made specifically for Adam. And then we go down, and it says that he caused a deep sleep to fall. This is verse 21, caused a deep sleep to fall upon Adam. And he slept, and he took of his ribs and closed up his flesh instead thereof. Has anybody ever looked at this word ribs? Has anyone ever even understood what this word means? When we're looking at Selah, this word it's especially when you get to the root word, to the root of it, if we go to the etymology of it. Right, so the Strong says that it is a side, rib, or beam, but if you go to the root of it, and bring this up, it means to limp or be lame. Right? He pulled a piece out of Adam that was his weakness. Right? He took this part. He looked at Adam and saw how weak he was, just because he didn't have his helpmeet. Not that he couldn't do his job, but after Adam named all of the creatures, and everything was set in place, and he looked around and there was no helpmeet for Adam. There wasn't any pairing for Adam. And so the Most High looked, and he took the part out of Adam that was in need, and he created and formed, fashioned Eve out of Adam's need. So to sit here and say that I should lord over somebody who's supposed to be my need, who is literally my rib, for a lack of better words, I mean, that's what the text says, but somebody who's supposed to meet my need and I'm supposed to lord over them, then you just want to keep continuing operating in the curse. That's what you're doing. When Deuteronomy 30 makes it clear that we are supposed to wake up in our land of captivity and turn back to the Torah. We're supposed to come back to loving our women and treating our women like the beautiful helpmeets that they are. And if you can't do that, then you shouldn't even be fit to say that you are keeping Torah, because none of us are perfect. But we have to get out here and build our women up. I mean, you talked about it perfectly. If I'm supposed to reign co-equal, why would I want to be like the rest of the nations? This is what the oppressor does. It's called Nicolaitanism, right? You read this in the New Testament, and I won't go too far because we spoke about this. But if you really understand what's going on, it's a mental disorder to want to lord over people. This is not how we were created. We weren't created to be these violent, angry, wanting to be these captors, these people that just want to be in charge of everything. If you look at our quote-unquote president of the United States right now, he's a perfect example of how you shouldn't lead. Leaders don't just lord over people, because eventually you're going to find yourself with no one to lead. And that's what has happened in our community, unfortunately. Our women and our men are at odds with each other because our men want to lord over the women, and the woman wants to lord over the man because the woman has been placed in a position where she doesn't have any choice. If you want to know the real root of feminism, it comes from men trying to lord over women. So if you hate feminism, then stop trying to lord over your women. Right? And we're going to go deeper into this and how Torah can help, because now what science has proven is that this thing called epigenetics is what really dictates how you think, how your child thinks, how your child thinks, because it's all related to your genes. It won't change your actual DNA, but the Torah will change the chemical reactions that are released in your body. Right? The more that you go through this life trying to lord over people, you're going to have a child that tries to lord over people. And then that child will have a child that tries to lord over people. And then on top of that, he's going to see it in the household, especially the little sons. They're going to see in the household their father trying to lord over their mom, trying to keep their mom under his thumb, because he's, unfortunately, it seems to be in our community, we are either too insecure or too angry to pull out of all of this madness that is going on. Because we're so mad, we're so angry about what the oppressor has done that we don't realize our strength is coming from who the Most High has blessed us with. So it is essential that we move away from trying to lord over and start learning how to properly lead, because leadership empowers. It doesn't push down, but it brings up, it builds up. The Most High, think about it, if the Most High just lorded over us and just pushed us down, then there's no reason to keep Torah. You wouldn't want to serve an Elohim like that. You wouldn't serve a God like that didn't give you the ability to be empowered. But the first thing he did when he created man and woman, is he empowered us to rule, to have dominion over this earth. So if you say you're created in the image of the Most High, then shouldn't your first thing be to empower your mate to learn how to properly lord over their house, and then they empower the children to properly lord over? And when I say lord over, what I mean is properly take care of, to properly serve, guard, and protect all of the things that the oracles that the Most High has blessed us with. If your goal is to really be a leader, and that should be all of our goals, is to be not only a leader in our house, but a leader and be a bright or be a shining star to the rest of the nations, to show them how to properly come out of all of the sin and the negativity that has been poured upon all the sons of Adam. Then we have to get in the Torah and truly understand that it's not about lording over, it's about empowering. Period, plain and simple.
Wow, brother. Amen, my brother. Powerful words. Powerful words. And, boy. Like you were saying, how are we supposed to be respected as a nation when, we strive to be this nation when we're divided when it comes to the men and women? Like you said, Donald Trump, for an example. Leaders lead by example. Leaders lead by their actions. There's an old man from Mississippi Texas. Old man from Texas years ago that told me. He said leadership is a skill. You either have it or you don't. And what I tend to notice in Israel when it comes to most of our men, I'm not saying all of them, but I'll say a good portion of them who are assuming some type of leadership in these camps or these little groups, we're starting to realize that their leadership skills are under par. And when you have leadership skills that are under par, that causes chaos, and it causes a overly militant way of thinking. It's not even about skill and dealing with people when I say skill, I'm not saying crafty. When you are dealing with people, especially when it comes to religious beliefs or whatever ideology you deal with, you have to be a people person. You can't shut people off because they may seem to there's something that you're not able to control, or this person may be a little bit more complex to deal with. You have to be willing to understand the people you are leading. And what I'm starting to see and what I'm starting to get, like one sister had mentioned on Debate Talk for You, that most men, they have this homosocial attitude to where they can get online with the brothers and talk all day and mess around and do Facebook and all that kind of stuff and Google Hangouts. But when it comes to women, having especially a woman of the word, the conversation goes no further than 3 minutes. But we want to claim that we're men of God and we're kings and we're leaders and we're all this. You got to be kidding me. Seriously, you got to be kidding me.
Yeah.
But seriously, Anonymous, my brother, but this is what we're dealing with. This is what we're dealing with. But we call ourselves enlightened, having all the knowledge and wisdom and understanding. And then when it comes to the basic things that the Most High has put in us to have, that we should be doing naturally, that is not really that's not that hard, we can't do it. But let's be like everybody else. Let's run our women away. Because this is what started, I don't know if you noticed as of late, my brother, but over the last couple of months, even I'll say the last couple of years, what I have noticed in some of these camps is that they tend to run their women away. I can't be around a group of individuals who constantly run women away. And when that happens, like you said earlier, there is a psychological problem. That's inhumane. These are human beings. You can read in the book of Daniel when the kingdom of the Most High was likened unto a man. That doesn't mean a literal male. This is a kingdom based on humanity. And it's very inhuman. It is very inhumane of us to sit here and subject our women and our righteous women, or all women, to the rule of a few tyrants who want to lord and control over everything. And normally, those type of individuals are the ones who are having major psychological issues. So this is a epidemic in Israel. This is a problem. This is a mental disease. This is just from my experience. Everybody else may have different experiences, but this is what I have witnessed. Even personally where I'm at, we have a issue with our women speaking. This is a major problem. No one's not trying to put women on some kind of pedestal above men. Our goal is to put the women back right beside the men or the brothers and to rule according to Torah. And if anybody has a problem with what we're doing, it's not us you're kicking against. You're kicking against the Most High, because we are to be united just like He is. If man and woman or the human being was created in the image of God, or Yahweh, or Jehovah, or Yahweh, or whatever you choose to call Him, if we are supposed to be created in His image, in His likeness, we are to conduct ourselves with order just like He conducts Himself with order. And when it comes to this word order, this is old saying amongst a bunch of these Hebrews. The Most High is a God of order. But notice the brothers always say that to the women when women are either talking too much according to their standards. We never use that term when the brothers are out of order. That's the problem. And Sal, I just wanted to ask a question. Do we have any callers or anybody on standby?
We sure do. Once again, it's Debate Talk Radio. This is the Man Up segment on Debate Talk Radio. But as Mikael would say, let me land back off of you, my brother. Let me land back off of Brother BA, what he was saying. I just want to put it out there, and we all know that the ladies on the Relationship Challenge and Under the Palm, and I know we all would agree, are definitely extraordinary women. As far as being able to speak out, stand up women. And I think the problem is a lot of the brothers in the community are not used to that. They're not used to women actually speaking out, addressing certain issues. And actually, a lot of these brothers prefer for their wives or for their ladies, whatever you want to call them, to be quiet. And for them, that's actually following Torah for these brothers. So I think that needs to be cleared up as far as whether women should speak or whether they should not speak. A lot of these brothers got it twisted, in my opinion, when it comes to the doctrine. But let's go to the phone lines though before we. Matter of fact, do you want to answer that before we go to the phone lines? Anonymous Hebrew, you want to take a shot at that?
I would just say, it's funny because throughout the entire show, anytime I'm listening, or anything, and even right now, I'm just always searching through the scriptures when I hear things. And what you spoke about, to me, seems to resonate with verse Deuteronomy 28 or Devarim, whoever. I know people want us to speak Hebrew, so I'm not trying to offend anyone. But Deuteronomy 28, 53, and 54. And this is talking about the curses. And it's talking about, and I'll just deal with strictly 54. And it's talking about the different things that will come upon us. And it says, so that the man that is tender among you and very delicate, his eye shall be evil towards his brother, and toward the wife of his bosom, and toward the remnant of his children which he shall leave. Right? This is what we're seeing happen. This is, and I hate to say this, but this, you should be in quiet and be in subjection to me. This is I don't even want to call it a feminine trait. This is an oppressive trait, right? This is what people who are tender and delicate do, right? This is what you do when you are not equipped to have a conversation with someone. Like I said, when I'm counseling people, I see these things all the time, especially with the male. We don't want to hear from the wife. We don't want to hear from the children. and then you have a house that is either in disarray or people are walking around on eggshells because they're afraid of the big bad dad. But yet and still, you put a lot of these men in front of brothers who won't smoke, who ready for anything, and they quiet as a church mouse, right? This is not what the Most High created. If you feel as a man that you have all of the traits and all of the things in you that you need in order to fix everything, then you would have gotten us out of this a long time ago. But instead, here it is, 2018, and we're still trying to piece together and come together as a nation. So evidently, there are some things that our sisters have to offer. And if you're not careful, what you're going to see is the Most High continuing to use brothers like Sal and giving these righteous women platforms. And it's going to continue to just drive you crazy. It's going to be this thing that just drives you nuts until you get into your mind that you are not here to lord over these women. The Torah does not teach, Lord, if you can show me where it says we are to lord over these women in the sense of be quiet, don't say anything to me. Now, I'm not saying a woman should just usurp authority. And what that means is if a man has his position, a woman is not supposed to just come and belittle him and take that position. And the man shouldn't do that either, right? Some people in their households, the woman may be better at running the finances. So why wouldn't you let that woman run the finances? In some houses, the man can cook better. That doesn't take away from his dominance and ability to lead the household, right? You have to understand that this thing is about cohesiveness. So I agree with you, Brother Sal. A lot of these brothers, they're just not ready to hear a woman speak. And unfortunately, the Most High is making it clear that it's going to happen. Because we have to hear from that feminine principle, right? That's why wisdom is referred to in the book of Proverbs as a feminine principle. It cries aloud, right? That is the same thing. That's the Most High is complete. If you think that he is incomplete, he wouldn't have had a need to make a woman. So I don't know any brothers that I hang out with that just want to be around brothers all day. I told that to my wife, because she's very opinionated. And when we first met, I explained to her, please don't stop your opinion. We just got to temper how you express your opinion, right? Now what we're talking about is how we express. It's not completely inexpressive. It's about expressing with tact, with love, with kindness. So I agree with you, brother. These brothers, in my opinion, they're tender in heart. They're delicate, right? They want to. I'm not going to come into camps, but these people want to lord over these women in a sense, in an unrighteous way, and it's killing us. It's really killing our community.
Wow. You want to say something before we go to the callers?
Yeah, I would just like to say, again, I'll say it again, I'm going to keep saying it. If this community wants to be respected, we better start protecting our sisters, because I'm telling you this right now, we're going to continue to get what we've been getting if we don't change things. All right, Sal, let's take it away. Here we go.
Yeah, a lot of the brothers act like they don't see how the Bible has, a lot of powerful women in the scriptures. They act like they just overlook that. Some act like, do they even know? I mean, they know. I'm pretty sure they came across some of this information or some of the prophets, the female prophets in the scriptures, right? But, right. It's crazy. But go ahead. Mm-hmm. Go ahead.
No, you perfectly right. Like, and if you don't know where it's at, you can start in Judges 4, where you read about Deborah. I think you can go to 2 Kings chapter 22, where you read about that's either Queen Athaliah or that is the prophetess. We can really just keep going through the scripture and just find strong women littered throughout the scripture. Let's just take it back to our forefathers, right? If we really just wanted to act like the women has no place, we wouldn't even be a nation, because Esau would have just kept that birthright, right? If it wasn't for our foremothers, like going in and having the foresight to tell Yaakov what to do, then we wouldn't even, and so you can say that that's deceptive, but Jacob in his name means to be a deceiver. So our whole being right now, we wouldn't even, you're not even coming into this earth without a woman. And I'm going to say this, and then we can bring the caller. I had an appendicitis, right, when I was like 13, 14. Now, I have a very high tolerance for pain. Like, I've broken several bones. And, my mom said, you was a real little boy. I walk around with a broke arm for a week, right? I broke my jaw in the military and walked around for a week and had to have surgery. That's not to say, like, I'm just this brilliant man. But that appendicitis was the worst pain I ever had, to the point where it knocked me out. And when I woke up, the nurses were like, you're a strong little guy, but that's still nothing compared to childbirth, right? So if you can imagine the strength of a woman to bring a child into this world, and yet and still we still worrying about whether, like, trying to oppress or push it down, wouldn't you want to tap into that strength? Wouldn't you want to, if you really are a leader? Now, in the military, I led men, right? Do you think that I was just out there just doing everything by myself? You think these generals and these colonels are just out there doing everything on their own? No, they're using an entire team. You think you're going to build this nation on your own just with a bunch of hard-head, knucklehead men? Nah, bro. We need that feminine principle, the strength, the wisdom, the knowledge, the peace, as well as the fire that they have in their being. So, man, Brother Sal, you right on it, man.
We got to go to the phone lines. Once again, the number is 319-527-6239. Again, today's show is entitled The Righteous Woman, Distanced and Forgotten. We want to hear from the people out there. If you're your first time calling in, once you call in, there's no foul language. You got to keep it clean, keep it professional. All right, no foul language. Let's go to 716-541. You're live in there.
Thank you, Sal, for taking my call. And I'd like to say good evening to the brothers on the panel. And I just want to say, don't even get me started. I mean, you know what I mean? The abuse that I have had to take from, you know what I mean, the Israelite men, it was just off the hook. Now, in the Torah, you won't find that type of treatment of women. A woman anointed Jesus' feet, saying before his death. You know what I mean? Disciples didn't do that. They weren't thinking about that. That lady earned her name in that Bible. And as you said, Deborah, you know what I mean? It's so many, Sarah, it's so many. And I just don't understand it. And the problem what I have is that they are teaching those young men that they are in control of every woman on the planet. Now, the Bible clearly says that you're only in control of your wife. You know what I mean? You're not in control of someone else's wife. You know what I mean? But that's what I get on the Internet. This is the Internet, and it's not church. You know what I mean? It's not church. Everybody is just either discussing or sharing information, and we're not even allowed to do that if it was up to them. You know what I mean? This is a public forum. You know what I mean? You can't shut me down. The Bible said that I can't speak in church. As far as that go, you guys can't speak either. If the preacher is preaching, ain't nobody talking, right? You know what I mean? So they just need to clear that up. They want to go to that 2 Timothy scripture where the woman is supposed to be quiet and all of that. You know what I mean? That was during a Reformation. You know what I mean? And like I said, if I know something and if I want to share it, that's what I'm going to do. So they can call me whatever they want to. I mean, really, I have took so much abuse from the Israelite men. And they are teaching those young men wrong, and y'all need to stop them.
Sister Doris, before you hang up, and one thing about Sister Doris, I know you call in. This always lets you know you're always welcome to call and voice your opinion. On this platform, this is called the Man Up platform, and we love our women, we love our sisters. We don't hate women here. So for those who are listening, for the first time on the call line or live or even on the archive recorded on the YouTube channel, this is a place for human beings, people who have logical thinking that the Most High has given them. And Sister Doris, does it remind you of so much? I mean, this is just me. But isn't that like homosexual to you?
I mean, it really is. I mean, that's what I said. The Bible said that we are helpmates. You know what I mean? We're only as strong as each other. You know what I mean? You can't make me weak and then you think you're going to be strong. We're strong together. So, yes, I really do. I mean, shut up, B, and if you wear pants. I mean, I've been called a whore because I wear pants. Now, that's ridiculous. You okay?
But these are individuals who claim they know Torah.
Right, and that they live by it, and swear by it, It's ridiculous.
Yeah, and this is why this community will never be taken serious, because of individuals like that on the front line. And like I said last week, Israel don't want to correct Israel. Nope, Israel won't do it. Now, we have brothers in the community that will do it from time to time. But for some reason, as a whole, or as a collective, or as a big group, Israel won't do it because they want to save face publicly for the rest of the pro-blackers who are not Israelites. So gain some type of favor or some type of points, brownie points, amongst other individuals. But Anonymous, if you want to comment, my brother, go right ahead.
Yeah, my bad. I thought I had an alarm go off. Yeah, first off, Sister Doris, you're absolutely right. And you said some things. If there's somebody in our nation that's running around calling women bees and telling them to shut up, I want to choose my words. You wouldn't. I guarantee you, if I was standing there, you wouldn't say that to my mom, my sister, you wouldn't even. There's no reason to disrespect a woman, number one. But two, you wouldn't do that to somebody that's your loved one. And if somebody did that to one of your loved ones, you'd be ready to fight. So once again, this is what. Look, I grew up in a real hard area where people try to bully you. This is what bullies do. And the way we deal with bullies is back then, especially in the streets, you put hands on them. You're not just going to keep bullying me. But because they see a woman and they know that that woman can't stand up and defend herself, then they want to speak to her in a way that is completely unnecessary. So I'm going to deal with the 2 Timothy real quick, or the 1 Timothy real quick in a second. But I just want to put this out there. Do you really think, let's say that this woman, whoever the woman is that you're talking to, do you really think, and I'm speaking to these men out there that are listening that think that it's okay to speak to women like this and talk to them, do you think that that's how you're going to win that woman over? Do you think that you will be a champion for the Most High by speaking to them that way? What would make that woman even want to come and be, quote, unquote, subject to you by you speaking to them that way? You're not even going to get 5 minutes of their time to get them to listen, speaking that way. So like Brother B.A. said, you running them off. But let's deal with 1 Timothy 2 and 11. And I was trying to stay away from the New Testament, but Sister Doris brought it up, and so we just going to read it real quick. 2 Timothy 2:11. Let the woman learn in silence with all subjection. This is a reason why if you call yourself a teacher, I'm not saying everybody needs to learn languages, but if you call yourself a teacher, you should at least understand the etymology of these words, because that word silence does not mean silence like shut your mouth. It actually means quietness and to be tranquil, to not meddle, not to be meddling in others' affairs. That's what it means. Like Sister Doris brought up, ain't none of us supposed to be speaking in the middle of a service regardless, right? And that even goes back to the Tanakh when we had the priest. Every man was not allowed to be a priest. Only the sons of Aaron was allowed to be a priest. So just because they lord over everybody, that's not how it was set up, right? This Greek word is, and I always butcher this word, Hesychia, Hesychia, right? Look it up. It's the Greek word G2272. That doesn't mean anything about shutting your mouth, right? It means to be tranquil, to be peaceful. This is what they were talking about, because in that time they had women that were kind of meddling. I don't even want to be negative because then somebody's going to take that and run with it. But there was some meddlesome women going on. And so the whole thing was about being quiet and subjective and being peaceful, tranquil, not stirring up division. And what do we got? Men running around here backbiting, gossiping, yelling, stirring up division. it seems real feminine to me. And we can go into the psychological part of this homosexual spirit that is also on our kingdom. I'm not going to say that all these brothers are homosexual because I don't want to put that on everybody. But if you understand, so if we go back to like the 50s, 60s, and 70s, homosexuality was viewed as a mental disorder. So like the DSM, which is the book that psychologists use to diagnose mental disorders. Homosexuality was viewed as a mental disorder because it was viewed as something that would cause people to be misogynistic or violent or just go against the natural order of things. Then when we got to like the DSM-4, the DSM-5 now, from the 80s on forward, now you see things like homosexuality, pedophilia, transgenderism. These things are now more widely accepted and not looked as mental disorders, but rather choices, right? People are just making choices, basically. But there is a genetic difference. You can see it in the chemical makeup and the chemical imbalance if you understand methylation, what we call the way the gene works, that there is a thing that separates and changes once a homosexual act is done. The chemicals that are secreted into the brain change the overall makeup of that person. Right? This is science, and I can give you articles on it, and we can go back and forth on what articles you leak, but you can't trump chemicals that are released. And these chemicals tend to make these people very, very angry toward the opposite sex. And it's the same thing if we're dealing with lesbianism or homosexuality. And in the book of Romans, in chapter 1, speaks about this, giving up the natural selection to go to the same gender. You would throw away one, a man being with a woman to a man being with a man, and vice versa. So yes, there is some homosexuality to it, and there is some. I still believe that this is a mental disorder. I'm not saying that homosexuality is a mental disorder because I want to stay away from that just because of the way the science works now. But there is definitely an evil spirit behind speaking and treating women like that. And I'm nobody's feminist. I'm not soft. If anybody that really know me know, that's just not me. But I do understand how to treat women. And I can't say that I've always been like that, but learning and understand Torah and seeing how my forefathers treated their wives has completely changed how I view it. So it's crazy to me. That's all I got.
We can go to the next caller, Sal.
All right, family. Once again, that number is 319-527-6239. It's the Man Up segment. Make sure you call in and can express what you hear. You can express yourself. And once again, the title of the show is The Righteous Woman, Distance, and Forgotten. Let's go to the phone lines. Let's go to 916-747. You're live on air.
Shalom, Sal. BA Anonymous Hebrew. This is Ashanti. Of course, from under the palm, right? I just want to commend you, brothers, and say I love you with the love of the Most High. I appreciate you doing this show. Us sisters would love more of our righteous brothers to rally up as you are doing, and it's a blessing to hear this. I do have a question. Of course, I have a lot to add, but I got to go into this gym. 3-part question. Do you believe that people have been born again, say they've come into this Israelite faith or walk? And what I mean by born again is, do they understand the spirit? Because there's masculine elements or attributes of the spirit, then there's feminine elements or attributes of the spirit. And, me and Pierre are going to talk about this next month. My question is, do our men really try to study the role of the Ezer Connecto, or what is better translated as an aid, a protect, a deliverer that corresponds? So even understand the aspects of the spirit. do we teach women studies of an Ezer Kenegdo? And do we even know? Like I love the way Anonymous Hebrew goes into the words and the meaning of the Greek words, because I've looked at that word usurp authority, and it really has no connotation to what people put on it. That authentain. It's actually acting like you're the author. It's acting like you're the originator or creator. You're putting yourself in that position as if you were the originator or the first to do this thing. That's and if you understand it like that, then verse 13 of 1 Timothy chapter 2 would be understandable. Plus, if you read chapter 1, they had a lot of Gnosticism going on, research Gnosticism. But that's my question. Are we born again? Do we really understand the Spirit? Do we really understand this Ezer Kenegdo or this aid, protect, or deliverer that corresponds? I yield. Shalom.
Thank you, sis. We appreciate that. First, when it comes to Ezer Kenegdo, we call ourselves a Hebrew community, and we know the language and all this. But when you bring that term up to most people, especially these brothers who are so informed, they don't have a blue in the hell clue what that is. The Ezer Kenegdo is the Hebrew translation for helpmeet. I mean, well, that's what it's translated into the English in your King James. And notice that I tend to notice that the King James only guys are not all of them, but it's a good portion of them that read the scriptures verbatim and don't use a concordance or a lexicon or nothing. They just run their mouths and think like the slave master and think that the Bible was applied to the way they think the Most High has the mind of their slave master, which is just mind-boggling to me. But the Ezer Kenegdo is the helpmeet. We can find examples of this term within the Most High. And no, we're not saying the Most High is a woman, because somebody will call in and say, oh, you trying to say the Most High is a woman? No, I'm not. This is a characteristic that the Most High has given to the woman. Help. The Most High has various examples in the prophets where he tells Israel, I am your Ezer. I am your help. So I would say, sis, if we're claiming to be born again, or we're claiming to be these so righteous, powerful people of the book, in this day and age, we do not understand the Spirit as a whole. Because if we did, we wouldn't have these little differences amongst men and women in this walk. So my answer is no, we do not understand the concept of the Spirit. We lack understanding of the term Ezer Kenegdo. And when we get to this point, we have no understanding of what the Father has revealed. And then we understand why Christ is misunderstood. And then when we go to the apostles, as you can see, brothers like to butcher the apostles, we don't even understand the apostles. So I would say no, we don't as a whole. And Anonymous, you can go ahead and comment if you want to, my brother.
First off, thanks for calling in, Sister Ashanti. And I wish I would have been there that night to be there to kind of help you ladies. Y'all handled it, but to deal with that caller, because I listened and I re-listened and I re-listened again, and that was just ridiculous. But in terms of being born again, when we're talking about sanctification, and that's something that comes up a lot in what we call the New Testament, this is a process. So we understand that. So we are all in the process of being sanctified. But when we first get to the point where we really are, quote unquote, born again and come into these scriptures, there should be some changes. That doesn't mean it happens overnight, but there should be a conviction of the heart. In John, in the book of John, I want to say it's chapter 14, it talks about the Holy Spirit will bring things to your remembrance. And those things is the law, and the love, and the gospel of reconciliation. One of the things that happened in the fall was there was enmity put between all of us, right? If you understand the garden was a place where spirit met human, right? It was God's blended family, and you can search it and you can understand what those trees are. I don't want to teach a lesson. There was a blending of God's overall family, and then the Kosh destroyed that. And in doing that, he caused this division. But the goal was never for us to be divided like this. So the born again thing is to be born back into that. It's to come back into understanding that this Azer is a help. It's literally, let me just make it simple. So I don't want somebody saying we're not bringing out scripture. I don't have it. Let me bring it up. But basically, I mean, she already talked about it. This whole Azer connected. We're talking about actually being the help, the opposite power, and not opposite like in opposition, but meeting your weakness, right? All of us have weaknesses, and it's our wife's job, that woman's job, and this goes beyond even just a romantic relationship between a man and a woman. It is something that should happen where the woman has a perspective and the man has a perspective, and those two perspectives should meet up in the middle to enhance this kingdom. So do I think that these people have been born again? I would say it's impossible for them to be born again and continue to be teaching and preaching this way. And it's really that simple. Are these people doing word studies? It's obvious that they aren't. Or if they are, then they're being wicked and deceptive. And that's got to stop too. But I've noticed a lot of these people, if you try to call them on the mat and really say, well, can we look at these words? Can we really study this? You'll either get get out of my face, or we don't. Here we go. You want to pull out the lexicon. You want to pull out the dictionary. That's a fear tactic, right? That's a smokescreen. So, excellent question, sister. And the answer is no, they can't be, because when you are, you will come back to this. You will come back to Torah. So, yeah, excellent question.
Shanti, you're still on the line. You want to say anything else? Go ahead.
You say I'm still on the line?
Yep,
I'm still on the line. I'm not breathing too hard. I'm on this 10 thing. You know what I'm saying? Trying to keep my body right. You know what I mean? I'm in the eating healthy. Working out, keeping my soul and my spirit healthy as well. So, but thank you for answering my question, because when you're born again, you can understand the elements of the spirit. And like you said, Anonymous Hebrew, they work together. They are a hive. They come together for one common goal. And BA alluded to it too, which is, this whole disdain for dictionaries, lexicons. Why do we have a disdain for tools or gifts that the Most High put in our accessible reach to use to better ourselves or bring out the full potential that He created in us already? So, thank you, brothers. I love you, brothers, with the love of the Most High. BA, we're getting it in this weekend. Anonymous Hebrew, can't wait to meet you in the person, my brother. Shalom. Thank you, Sal.
Thank you, sis. We appreciate you and we love you. We got any more callers, Sal?
All right, we have a lot of people standing by listening to the show. We appreciate the family out there that's tuning in via phone, via Skype, and via social media. Again, if you have any questions or comments in regard to this topic, the righteous women, distanced and forgotten, that number to call in is 319-527-6239. If you're already on the phone lines, simply press number 1, and we'll add you in the conversation. You can also email me at debatetalkforyou@gmail.com. That's debatetalk, the number 4, and the letter U @gmail.com, and I'll gladly read out your questions to the panel. At this time, nobody else is pressing number 1, but again, feel free to press number 1 when hello? I heard something.
Go ahead, Sal. That was on my end. Go ahead.
Yeah, but now that's it. You can continue.
Well, Anonymous, my man Anonymous. That's you say you want to talk about some things from a psychological perspective?
Yeah. So I wanted to kind of go into healing, and I don't want to teach no lesson or nothing. I just if we really want to heal and understand what Torah does, I'll just be kind of brief, and I may use some technical terms, but so from a psychological perspective, especially when you go to school to be what's called a quote-unquote Christian counselor, the goal is to unify the word with the physical aspects of what's going on. And once you do that, you start to understand more what's going on with what we call the spirit, because the spirit, we understand, is the character. And when we talk about the Ruach Kodesh, that is the character, the holy character, set-apart character of the Most High. So when you're dealing with the character, you have multiple facets of this. This is how a person thinks, how they react, how they feel, how they respond to things that make them happy, sad, all of these things. So what science is now finally starting to do is catch up with the Bible, if you can believe it or not. So I've spoken this before, and I'll kind of go into detail a little bit what we call epigenetics. So right now, I'm in a class where I'm trying to get my master's, and my goal is to unify psychology with the science, or what we call behavioral science, with the Bible. And what we have learned now is through the study, especially from a doctor called Bill Lipton, and you can study him if you have a chance. A lot of what he teaches is what we call the science of belief, and how your belief dictates your genes. And so I'll briefly explain how this works, and I'll try to be as visual as possible. If you look at your DNA like one string, there are several
Anonymous.
cells. Yeah.
Anonymous. Hold on for a second, my brother. I just want to say something real quick. Your signal's kind of breaking up, going back and forth. You're kind of breaking up a little bit.
Okay. Am I better now?
Yeah, you're better now. Yeah, that's better. That's very clear. So you can go right back to what you were doing, my brother. I'm sorry for interrupting you, but I just have to let you know that real quick.
You good. So that's my bad. I got a little too excited and set the phone down. So and so if I get too technical, if I get too boring, just let me know and I'll fix it up. But if you just view your DNA as a string, this string of DNA has all of these different cells on it. And what these cells do is they release all of these different things into your body. So as different things happen, like some type of traumatic event happens, it will release a certain chemical in your body. And once that chemical releases and it interacts with your DNA, now you can maybe get a certain type of cancer, or maybe you get high blood pressure or high cholesterol the more you eat certain things. All of these things are based upon your cell. And the way your cells work up is what we call methylation. So once these things start happening and these chemicals start secreting, it affects your long-term health and also the health of your child. That's why they look at all of these different studies, like if they use mice, or we'll use a study like when they put a bunch of chimps in a room. I'm not comparing us to chimps, but DNA is DNA. They put a bunch of chimps in a room, and they would throw food in the room, and then they would shock the chimps every time they basically went to the food. And so it got to the point where they didn't want to go for the food, and then they introduced a new chimp into it, and he had never been shocked. And as soon as he went for the food, all the chimps beat him up. And then the crazy thing that they saw was the same reaction happened with the offspring. And the same thing happened with mice, and it's the same thing happening with us. Once again, not comparing us to animals. What you're seeing happening is all of the wickedness that has been placed on us from all of these captivities, from the Assyrian captivity, the Babylonian captivity, the Greek captivity, and now even into this Roman captivity, is all of the leftover residual effects have now caused us to be this way, to be these misogynistic, angry, fighting men of just horribleness, And so what the Torah and what the teachings of, I just got to say, the teachings of Jesus or the teachings of Mashiach Yeshua, he was trying to get us to understand that coming back to Torah will, in effect, read your genetic code, meaning all of these chemical things that have been released in your body that are causing you to be angry and causing these mental disorders can be undone if you come back to the laws and the statutes. This is why he says certain things he'll visit to the third and fourth generation, but if you get it right, then he'll visit it even to the 1000th generation, because the more that you do them, the more that you stay away from eating the wrong things, like eating pork and crab and lobster and all of the gumbo and all of the things that we say we love, right, or we used to love if we came out of that. Now what happens is you are erasing those genetic mutations from your DNA, and it's causing them to be what we call deactivated. They will lie dormant, right? The same thing happens when you are an angry person. When we are told to love our brother, or if you have a brother that is, say for instance, when the Torah talks about you have a brother that is in slavery and you should try to buy him back, right? What this does is it passes down the genetic code of brotherhood, right? Or if you have two wives, one that you love, the other one hated, you can't treat the quote-unquote hated wife worse than you treat the loved wife. These things genetically are passed down to your child. This is the importance of learning to keep Torah, because it is genetically retraining and retooling your body to get as close to the first man Adam, to that Edenic Adam, as possible. And that's what these words are literally doing. If you can get into this and learn how to properly adhere to Torah, some people say it's for salvation. I don't necessarily agree with that viewpoint, not in the sense of what we're hoping for, but it will lead you to righteousness. And that righteousness is what will teach you how to properly lead and govern and lead this world. Now, I don't want to go too deep into it, but the science of it is now finally starting to catch up, and we can see how keeping Torah is actually affecting your DNA in a good way, in a proper way. And you can either use these things for negative or you can use them for bad. So, for instance, when these brothers are on the street corners just yelling and screaming at people, that is something that is in their DNA that is making them very angry. And this is from a brother who grew up fighting, right? Anybody that knows me personally know I'm a fighter. I grew up, I've been a teacher of multiple martial arts, from Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu to Krav Maga, right? And all of these things now are just tools that I have, whereas before they made up my identity, right? I would love to tell people how we could fight, we could throw down, I would use all kind of words. But now that's something I don't even like to tell people. I don't even use those things because I'm more interested in how this Torah can change all of our lives and cause us to look at the unification of the entire book. So that's pretty much all I have, Brother B.A. As the questions come up or as we go deeper, I can expound on each situation. But if you understand and do a study on what we call epigenetics and learn how your DNA responds to the different, and I'm going to use a technical term, the nature versus nurture debate, right? And if you start to understand that, you understand that everything works in one. What you eat, what you drink, what you see, what you smell, what you taste, what you see every day, all of these things work to form or deform your genetic code. And if you're not careful, you will find yourself being these angry, misogynistic, angry brothers, but that doesn't mean you're cast away. And that's the beauty of where we're at now. Because if it was just hopeless, then it wouldn't be any need for us to even be reading the word. But since we know that we can be changed, and I'll use a New Testament verse in Romans 12. It talks about be transformed by the renewing of your mind. The word renew means I have to go backwards to something that was once there. We have to get back to what we were supposed to be. And the only way we can do that is reverse the trauma. And the only way to reverse the trauma is to learn, read, and observe and adhere to the teachings of the Torah. Go ahead, Brother B.A.
I wanted to read something concerning wisdom. Let's go to Wisdom of Solomon and the Apocrypha. We're going to pick it up at verse 12. And I'm reading from the KJV, the 1611. Check this out. Wisdom is glorious and never fadeth away, yet she is easily seen of them that love her, and found of such as seek her. She preventeth them that desire her, and making herself first known unto them. Who seeketh her eagerly shall have no great travail, for he shall find her sitting at his doors. Ain't that something? To think therefore upon her is perfection of wisdom, and whoso watcheth for her shall quickly be without. Let me read that again. And whoso watcheth for her shall quickly be without care. For she goeth about seeking such as are worthy of her, showeth herself favorably unto them in the ways, and meet them in every thought. For the very true beginning of her is the desire of discipline, and the care of discipline is love. And love is the keeping of her laws, and the giving heed unto her laws is the assurance of incorruption. And incorruption maketh us near unto God. Therefore the desire of wisdom bringeth to a kingdom. If you delight, be then enthroned thorns or scepters, O ye kings of the people. Honor wisdom, that ye may reign forevermore. As for wisdom, what she is and how she came up, I will tell you, and will not hide mysteries from you, but will seek her out from the beginning in her nativity, and bring the knowledge of her into light, and will not pass over the truth. Neither will I go with coming envy, for such a man shall have no fellowship with wisdom. But the multitude of the wise is the welfare of the world, and a wise king is the upholding of the people. Receive therefore instruction through my words; it shall do you good. That's wisdom.
That's wisdom.
That's wisdom. I'm gonna go to. Let's go to the next. Let me see. Let's go to Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 8. Check this out. Let me pick up at verse 1. Wisdom reacheth from one end to another mightily, and sweetly doeth she order all things. I love her, and sought her out from my youth. I desired to make her my spouse, and I was a lover of her beauty. And that she is conversant with God, or Yahweh. She magnified her nobility, yea, the Lord of all things himself loved her. Let me read that again. And that she is conversant with God. She magnified her nobility, yea, the Lord of all things himself loved her. For she is privy to the mysteries of the knowledge of Yahweh, and a lover of his works. If riches be possession to be desired in this life, what is richer than wisdom that worketh all things? If prudence work, who of all that are is more cunning workman than she? If a man love righteousness, her labors are virtues, for she teacheth temperance, and prudence, justice, fortitude, which are such things as men can have nothing more profitable in their life. This from the Apocrypha about wisdom. And don't you, and my brother, doesn't this line up with? Now, we know wisdom is spiritual, and we know it's a feminine principle within the spirit. And we're not saying the spirit is a woman. These are characteristics. Don't these line up with our righteous women? The things I've read so far?
I mean, 100%.
Isn't that a help? Isn't that your help? Check this out. Verse 8.
That's what I see. It's simple.
Exactly. If a man desire much experience, she knoweth things of old, and conjureth and conceiveth aright what is to come. She knoweth the subtleties of speeches, and can expound dark sentences. She foreseeth signs and wonders, and the events of seasons and times. Therefore, I propose to take her to me to live with me, knowing that she will be a counselor of good things and a comfort in cares and grief. For her sake I shall have estimation among the multitude, and honor with the elders, though I be young. I shall be found of a quick conceit in judgment, and shall be admired in sight of great men, because of wisdom. And we also can line this up when a man has a righteous woman. Verse 12. When I hold my tongue, they shall bind my leisure, and when I speak, they shall give good care unto me. If I talk much, they shall lay their hands upon my mouth, their mouth. If I talk much, they shall lay their hands upon their mouth. Moreover, by the means of her, I shall obtain immortality, and leave behind an everlasting memorial to them that come after me. This is wisdom. Don't they help me bring out the best of the brothers?
It's supposed to, but if you fight against it, it'll never bring it out.
Exactly. And then you see what's going on with our men now. They're not respected on the internet. They're not respected publicly. They're not respected locally in our communities because we are acting without a principle that the Most High has given us to help. Verse 14. I shall set the people in order, and the nation shall be subject unto me. Horrible tyrants shall be afraid when they do but hear of me. I shall be found good among the multitude and valiant in war. After I am come into my house, I will repose myself with her. Talking about wisdom. And for her conversation have no bitterness, and to live with her have no sorrow, but mirth and joy. 17. Now when I consider these things in myself, and ponder them in my heart, how that to be allied unto wisdom is immortality. And great pleasure is to have her friendship. Great pleasure is to have her friendship. And the works of her hands are infinite riches. And the exercise of conference with her, prudence. And in talking with her, a good report. I went about seeking how to take her to me. For I was a widow child and had a good spirit. Yea, rather being good, I came into a body undefiled. Nevertheless, when I perceived that I could not otherwise obtain her, except God gave her me, and that was a point of wisdom also to know whose gift she was. Come on, people. Do you see what we're reading here in the scriptures? I prayed unto the Lord and besought him with my whole heart, I said. Wow. That's Wisdom of Solomon chapter 8.
Brother B.A., can I just land back off you a little bit? Because I know some people don't like the Apocrypha, right?
Oh, yeah,
so
go ahead. We got some other spots. We could go to the prophets as well. There's plenty of that, the prophets. But go ahead, brother.
We just take it right to Proverbs. We go to Proverbs chapter 8. And I'm not going to read the entire chapter. I'll let you know when I'm going in and out. So we're going to start at Proverbs 8 and 1.
Oh, yeah, I know. I was already there.
Man, does not wisdom cry?
Go ahead, brother.
In understanding put forth her voice? She standeth in the top of the high places, by the way, in the places of the paths. She crieth at the gates, at the entry of the city, at the coming in at the doors. Unto you, O men, I call, my voice is to the sons of man. O ye simple, understand wisdom, and ye fools, be ye of an understanding heart. Hear, for I will speak of excellent things, and the opening of my lips shall be right things. For my mouth shall speak truth, and wickedness is an abomination to my lips. All the words of my mouth are in righteousness. There is nothing forward or perverse in them. I'm going to skip down to verse 13, and then I'm going to go through 17. And you're going to see how a lot of this lines up with what Brother B.A. was just reading. The fear of the Lord is to hate evil, pride and arrogancy, and the evil way, and the forward mouth do I hate. Counsel is mine, and sound wisdom I am understanding. I have strength. By me kings reign, and princes decree justice. By me princes rule, and nobles, even all the judges of the earth. I love them that love me, and those that seek me early shall find me. And then I'm going to go down to 22. The Lord possessed me in the beginning of his way, before his works of old. I was set up from everlasting, from the beginning, or ever the earth was. When there were no depths, I was brought forth. When there were no fountains abounding with water, before the mountains were settled, before the hills was, I brought forth. While as yet he had not made the earth, nor the fields, nor the highest part of the dust of the world. When he prepared the heavens, I was there. When he set a compass upon the face of the depth, when he established the clouds above, when he strengthened the fountains of the deep, when he gave to the sea his decree that the water should not pass his commandment, when he appointed the fountains of the earth, then I was by him, as one brought up with him, as I was daily his delight, rejoicing always before him. I mean, we could just keep going on and on. And so to sit here and say, and like this is wild, man.
It is. But check this out. This is a gift from the Most High.
Man.
And all these principles of wisdom manifest through our sisters. I'm going to read.
I mean,
go ahead, brother. Go ahead.
I don't want to go too deep into Proverbs 31, right? But if you start to study that whole chapter, and even if you want to start at verse 10, 31 and 10, when it says, "Who can find a virtuous woman? For her price is far above rubies." And if you study virtuous, because some people may try to get on it, well, that's just talking about wisdom. They ain't talking about these women. Well, who can find a virtuous Isha? This is what it says. Virtuous is Khalil. I'm sorry, Chayil. And it's strength, might, efficiency, wealth, army, like the ability to be an efficient, strong person. That's a virtuous woman. That's that righteous woman that we're talking about. And you want to disrespect these women? Do you know what we missing out? Do you know what you losing out on by just basically eliminating these women from the kingdom?
You're cutting off a portion of the Most High. That's what you're doing.
Man.
Because not only was the male created in the image of the Most High, the woman was created in the image of the Most High too. And if you shut her off, guess what you're doing? You're shutting off a portion of the Most High, and you will continue to remain in the curses.
Brother,
it's that
shoot
simple.
Yourself in the foot.
Shoot yourself in the foot. Go to Hosea. Let's go to Hosea.
So yeah, I know we do have some callers standing by. Whenever you guys are ready, let me know.
Okay, I'm going to go to Hosea real quick, and we'll check them callers. All right. Hold on for a minute.
What chapter you want?
13, I believe. And it reads, hold on for a minute. This is the Most High talking about Ephraim.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm going to pick it up at verse 4. Yet I am Yahweh thy Elohim from the land of Egypt, and thou shalt know no God but me. for there is no Savior besides me. I did know thee in the wilderness, in the land of great drought. According to their pastures, so were they filled. They were filled, and their hearts were as was exalted. Therefore have they forgotten me. Therefore I will be unto them as a lion, as a leopard. By the way will I observe them. I will meet them as a bear that is bereaved of her whelps, and will rent the caul of their heart, and there will I devour them like a lion. The wild beast shall tear them. O Israel, has destroyed thyself, but in me is thy help. Look up that word in Hebrew, and that's azer.
Like right there.
Right there.
It used to be so easy, man.
But the woman has to be quiet and shut up and don't say nothing, and we're not even going to address our righteous women. You know what these brothers will do, man? They'll spend so much time on the negative women in society, but you know what happens? When you have an overabundance of brothers who spend time dogging out, talking about the worldly women, the reason why they do that because there's something on these worldly women that appeals to their eye.
Man.
That's why they do it so much. But they want to present to us that they're so righteous because they can read a few verses out of the Bible. Ain't that something?
Brother, you said a mouthful right there. Like it's, and I don't even know if these people understand that there are literally people watching. Like I got a cousin that's an atheist, and he's sniffing around. He want to know so much about, what's going on because he saw me being a minister in the Baptist church, and he saw me lead that, and he see what me and my family are into now, and he knows like the level of peace, regardless of whatever happens, the level of peace that I have and my children are showing and the way that they're growing. He's curious, and so he starts searching, and he comes across a certain camp, and the first thing he hears them talking about is bashing women, and he hears them say the N-word woman has gone full-blown beast. This is how they talking about the women of Israel. This is the representation that an atheist who is searching and trying to figure something out hears. That's what the Most High called us to do. To call our women full-blown beasts, and you supposed to be a teacher. Man, come on, man.
Or you're supposed to be anointed, and the Most High talks to you.
Right. Talk to
like, yeah, he somehow is talking to you with that type of language coming out of your mouth. And this is why I continue to say this movement has made some strides. There are some improvements, but we have a long way to go. And if we think just because we call ourselves Israel that other denominated believers of the faith are just supposed to just be subjected to us, wow, do we have another thing coming.
Man.
Are you ready to go check out a few callers?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, Sal, take it away.
All right, we're going back to the phone lines, family. Once again, that number to call in is 319-527-6239. Sister Doris, I see you still on the phone line. If you have a question, I'm going to go to you in a few minutes, but if not, just press number 1. Do me a favor, press number 1, and that'll take you on the switchboard. But if anything, I'll just go right back to you. I see you still standing by. But let's go to some of the callers out here. Let's go to 360-286. You're live in air.
Hello.
Hey, how you doing?
Hey, good evening, brothers. I was just calling in because I had a few comments to actually just put out there in regards to some of the things that the brothers were expounding on about the women in today's society. Really, in my beliefs, I really believe that women, not to say that they endured more throughout history as men did, but I think that specifically they were targeted more and broken down more during slavery times, because these are the first teachers who were the ones to raise the babies, who were the ones to teach the little boys or the little girls how to act and what behaviors to show and how to actually, act amongst everyone else. It's the woman who teaches the man to begin with. If there's something as such as slavery going on, so a woman's going to teach a man or a boy child to be docile, because you don't want to see that child get in trouble. You don't want to see that child, go through everything that man goes through. So in return, that woman is going to teach that boy how to be docile. And it goes into DNA, it goes into everything of that nature, and so on and so forth. Also, these brothers today that call themselves Hebrews that are teaching these women, and I'm going to say teaching these women, because a lot of people that come into the truth to begin with, they have a lot of questions. They have a lot of things that they want to know. And the first thing that they're going to see when they look up on the internet are these Hebrews hollering out, disrespecting women. And that's either going to chase them away or either teach them that they need to be this woman that needs to be controlled when they don't understand their proper role. So all these Hebrews are doing today are fulfilling these curses instead of properly getting educated because they want to believe that they know everything. They are fulfilling the curses instead of understanding and realizing that beforehand, when Eve was created from Adam, that they were equals, that she was supposed to be his helpmate. And that's all I really wanted to say. So that was my main concern, is just addressing that.
Caller, we didn't catch your name.
Oh, my name is Kirsten. I do apologize, Sister Kirsten.
Thank you. We appreciate your comments. Appreciate it.
I appreciate it. Bless you all.
Shalom. God bless you, sister. See, right there, brother. That's wisdom right there. You know what I'm saying? Like,
that's wisdom.
She's sitting here, she explaining to you, took it all the way back to slavery, where you can literally see what was happening. And that's part of the curses. That they would take our children and take our women. Right? If you do studies and learn about things like gator bait, they was taking our children and feeding them to gators, using them as bait to catch gators and doing all kind of crazy stuff. Do you understand the trauma that does to a woman? Do you know what that does? And then you wonder why a lot of these women now that are lost don't want to have nothing to do with their kids, don't want to have nothing to do with their family. That stuff is genetically passed down. And we've been sent at this time to undo that, and we want to call them full-blown beasts instead of protect them. Not to harp on Adam, but if Adam, say like first off, where was Adam when the Nakash was talking to Eve? Right? But if he was there, he would have just cut the head off the snake right away. Imagine where we would be. And right now, we're supposed to be cutting the head off the snake, so to speak. Helping our women get back. Like she talked about, this stuff makes people be docile. It made the man be docile. It made the woman have to be the take on the man role, because they would give the women all of the power. They make, you know what I'm saying? Like, it was a total role reversal, and we still see it today when we're dealing with welfare and government assistance. The whole system is set up to turn us against each other, turn the man against the woman, and we falling for a hook, line, and sinker. It's time to come out of that. We have to come out of that if we're going to get out of this captivity.
Most definitely, brother. And I keep saying that you'll never get respected if you don't protect your women, like we had a few nights ago when that Christian minister or pastor called into the Under the Palm broadcast and interrupted their broadcast. Why? Because as a whole, we don't want to protect our sisters. Being a Hebrew, people they don't take it serious, because the stereotype is we hate women, we bash them, and we're a bunch of chauvinists. But if we had a reputation of protecting our sisters and guarding them, protecting our children and guarding them. Things like that will not happen. All right, Sal, let's go to the next caller.
All right, once again, that number to call in, 319-527-6239. And this is the Man Up Show, y'all. So we listen to opposing views as well. So anybody can call in, y'all. And if we don't screen any calls, y'all can call in. Again, the number is 319-527-6239. That's what Debate Talk for You is all about. As long as things are done in respect, we want to hear you out. So let's go to the next caller. Let's go to 724-518. Live in there.
Hi, Shalom. All praises to the Most High. I want to greet the brothers that are on the panel tonight and just thank you. This is Sister Malika. I'm one of the panel members on Under the Palm, and I just wanted to just be supportive and tell you, brothers, how much this means to me to hear this conversation tonight. And I wanted to say that, I think for probably a lot of the sisters listening, just hearing words of affirmation and acceptance is a great start to healing because, I talk to many sisters who are really discouraged and really feeling brought low by things that are happening in their relationships with their men. And so I just want to thank you for this show tonight. That was the first thing I wanted to say. So thank you so much, Sal, for giving Brother B.A. the platform, and thank you, Brother B.A. and Anonymous Hebrew for just bringing the straight word. I appreciate you. And what I wanted to just kind of put into the conversation, I'm sorry, I came to the show a little bit late. So if I say something that's already been addressed, you can just let me know, and I'll go back and listen to the show, to the recording to catch what was said. But from my personal observation, I worked for several years as a counselor in a prison. I dealt with folks who were substance abusers who were being sent to kind of like a detention unit to dry out and to do a short bid in order to not violate them fully, so that they didn't have to go back for years, but maybe they could just do a short bid like 60 days or 90 days or whatever, get clean, get their head straight, and try again. So I taught this life skills program and offered counseling to these brothers. And one of the reoccurring themes that would be brought to me was that a lot of these brothers, some of their earliest memories are being in homes where their mother was being abused by a boyfriend, and they felt that they had to protect her. But they watched her take this man back over and over and over again. And, some of these young men, even their first time in prison was because they got into a physical altercation with the mother's boyfriend, and it went too far, and they actually killed the man, or they, maimed him, or something happened that caused them to get time for it. And then another reoccurring theme was that a lot of the young men were in homes where the mom was single and really struggling, and so they took it upon themselves to try to help her financially, and not being matured fully and not having the education yet, they did what came naturally to them to do in terms of what they saw on the street to do, and that caused them to get their first bid and go to prison, And so what I found that's created in the brothers was kind of a resentment towards women, and unforgiveness, kind of a crystallization in their thinking concerning what a woman is and what a woman does. And, when you have that crystallized memory, that trauma that's crystallized, everything you look at in life is going to be seen through that paradigm. Every woman you meet, you're going to make them pay for what your mom did. Or same thing, you just flip it and say women. There's things I could tell you about women that I've worked with and the crystallization that went on in their brains and how that affected them in their relationships. But since we're speaking, kind of about brothers tonight, I just wanted to share this. A lot of these brothers actually hated their mothers, but they couldn't verbalize that thought. Because nobody wants to say, I hate my mother. They couldn't articulate that. And so what they would do is they would struggle with their feelings toward women, they would project their feelings towards their mother onto women. And woman after woman in their life would have to prove to them that she wasn't his mother, that she wasn't like that she was not going to be weak-minded, or she wasn't going to be, unable to help, or she wasn't going to, you get my point, that they made women prove themselves over and over in this way because of what they experienced with their mothers. And one of the breakthrough moments that some of the brothers would have is the acknowledgement that their mother was young. A lot of times the mother was 14, 16, 18 when she had them. And so when they were able to acknowledge that she was young, that she didn't know what she was doing, that she made a lot of mistakes, when they were able to acknowledge her humanity, then they could get to a place of forgiveness towards her. And once they could get to a place of forgiveness, it actually helped them emphasizing themselves with drugs, and to actually begin to deal with other issues in life choices that they were making. But that trauma of that first relationship with a woman, the mother, was really just crystallized, and it was, causing a lot of other issues to be added onto it. So I said all that, and I know I took the long way around, but I said all that just to say I think forgiveness is very necessary amongst our people, coming to Torah and also to the teachings of Yeshua HaMashiach, where he teaches us to forgive. And, I know when I first came into this Hebraic understanding, what I was kind of confronted with is, forgiveness is for punks. It wasn't said, but it was just kind of, the unspoken thing. That's what the oppressor wants us to do, is forgive, But I'm saying that there needs to be a forgiveness between us as men and women. Like, we need to go back into those traumatizing events in our lives and forgive our mothers, forgive our fathers. Even though they may have done great damage in our lives. One of the commandments that most people come into contact with is that one that says, honor your mother and father. That's not contingent upon the behavior of your mother and father. It doesn't say you have to necessarily be in close fellowship with them as an adult, but it does say honor them. And so part of that would be to forgive if you haven't done that. So I just wanted to kind of put that out there, and get your thoughts on some whatever, some of the things that I said concerning the young men that I met in prison. And then the last thing I wanted to say was that when I first came into this walk, one of the first things that was I was hit over the head with was the fact that women weren't to be trusted because of what happened with Hava in the garden, and that because women can't be trusted, they needed to be controlled. And I've heard that message in many ways, in many different messages, use different scriptures being used to communicate that. But the bottom line is that lack of trust, because women can't be trusted and therefore they need to be controlled. So if you brothers could speak on that, I don't know if you've already done that or not, but if you haven't, I would love to hear your thoughts on that. And with that, I'll yield.
Yeah, Brother B.A.
Yeah, sister, did her call drop, or did she fall back?
No, she's still here. She's still here. The Sister Malaka.
Oh, okay. Well, what was was she asking a question?
Yes, Sister Malaka.
I didn't hear that last.
I asked two questions. The first question I asked was if you hadn't already spoken on. This was the second question. I said if you hadn't already spoken on that kind of teaching that's going around where they basically are teaching because the woman, because of the woman's behavior in the garden, that women can't be trusted, generally speaking. And since you can't trust women, generally speaking, that you need to control them. I've had brothers say that to me in different ways, using different scriptures to even to try to support that. But the underlying thing that they're saying is that, because of what Hava did, women can't be trusted. And so you can't let them be equals because they're not trustworthy. And I was so the question is, what would you say to that? How would you speak on that with a brother? That was one question. And then the other question I had was, I was talking about my experience of meeting young men who as a result of their first relationship with a woman who was their mom, they were very bitter and resentful towards women because of the mistakes that the mom made. A lot of the young men I met were in prison because they were trying to help their mother in some way or the other. You know, whether it was beating off a dude that was no good that she kept taking back into their house, or whether it was trying to get out there and hustle and make money because she was struggling and couldn't make the ends meet. But there was like a resentment and an unforgiveness that was there. So I wanted to if you hadn't already spoken on that, you know, that first relationship with mother and where that might be taking us and how we might need to forgive. And if you, whatever your thoughts might be on that, I was asking you to express any thoughts you might have on that.
Okay, okay, thank you, sister. I appreciate that. If you want, you can hold on to, you can just stay here for a minute and we can try to elaborate as much as possible. When it comes to your first question about women cannot be trusted, now, in the beginning, we see that the Most High created man and woman equal. They were both perfect. So when brothers are going around here saying that a woman is not to be trusted because she was the one who ate the apple or whatever, the story, we know the story, has been taught or redefined to us so many different times. But just to keep it simple, just because it says in the book that she was deceived, women should not be trusted. Well, that commandment was not given out by the Most High because in the beginning they were perfect and he gave them everything they needed. So when a man goes around saying that a woman cannot be trusted, that's not biblical because even after the downfall, we still don't see that type of behavior towards women. When it comes, like we mentioned the different women like Deborah, Deborah, and the various other women in the scriptures, that they were not trusted. We had a woman that was a judge, and if she was not to be trusted, then why was she a judge? So when brothers are going around teaching that is a doctrine of men, that is a teaching of men who have some type of issue with women. That's me personally. I don't know if that answers your question, sister. Does that help?
Yes, I was just wondering, like, how would you address a brother like that, like scripturally, or would you just basically give him examples like you've done, or is there a certain way that you would address him to let him know that he needs to go further in his understanding of Torah?
I would back a little bit, Brother B.A.
Yeah, go ahead, brother. Go ahead.
All right. Shalom, Sister Malaka. How you doing?
Shalom. I'm blessed. How are you doing?
I'm good. You were on the call the other night, right?
Yes, I was.
Right. So I want you to know I stole one of your lines when you was talking about emotional reparations. That was a good line, so I've been using that. So you touched on a lot of good points, and I want the brothers to understand the heart that our sisters have for us. Right? If you've never been a counselor or never really dealt with this, you don't know the pain that a lot of these brothers is feeling. So she brought up first the prison situation. When you see these brothers in these prisons, especially what she was talking about, the brothers who was in there trying to get this money for their household because their father wasn't around, or like myself, like I grew up with a single mom and I had to get some dudes off my mom before. And, by the grace of the Most High, I never caught a case from that. I ended up catching a case later, and it ended up putting me in the military. That changed completely changed my mindset. But the point of the traumatic experiences in coming and you're dealing with the system coming from trying to help your mom, this is a very real point. And the need, and I stress this to our community, the need to get into some type of counseling, just to be able to talk it out, right? I know you don't want people playing in your head and you feel ashamed, but there is so much trauma that you don't even realize you went through that you have to sit back and talk it out. Because self-medicating, or what she talked about, anesthetizing, smoking weed, doing E, drinking, whatever it is, your drug of choice, that's not going to get it. It's just numbing you. All you're doing is just numbing yourself from the pain that you have experienced. And then once that wears off, you're right back mad again. You're looking at women, expecting a woman to come in and fulfill the role that your mom couldn't fulfill. And that's not a woman's job. She's your helpmeet. She is not your mother. Right? And so we have to understand this. And so from my perspective, the way that you fix it is twofold. First, counseling to build the relationship, to break down the walls, and then lead them to Torah, and then ultimately leading them to the message from Messiah Yeshua, right? And in terms of not trusting a woman, is back to what I said earlier, is where was Adam, right? If Adam would have did his job from the beginning, which is to protect the garden, who knows? Who knows where we would be? And so now it is our job to protect the garden. We have to get back to understanding we have to be protectors. Right? What good is all of this strength and might that we have if we're not going to use it to protect our women? You say that the woman is the weaker vessel, and protect them. Don't just leave them out here to fend for themselves. So that's you brought up some excellent points, and so we have to find some brothers that are ready to counsel. And I know a lot of these brothers in these Knessets and in these camps, some of them, they are counseling. But there are too many brothers that are doing unrighteous counseling. So, yeah, I think you brought up some excellent points. And the only thing I know to tell them is you have to get out of your head. You have to talk to some people, and you have to come to Torah. You have to come back to this word and to the overall teachings of the Bible. Brother B.A.
And, sister, I would say I agree with the brother, Anonymous, what he just said. And when it comes to these brothers with these teachings against women, one thing I have always have stated, and I keep stating it, when it comes to these brothers who are teaching, when we have brothers who are teaching over us, we need to make sure that they can they're mentally stable. And that is a problem within Israel. And I've said this before when I was on with Mayana and Imona a few weeks back. How I don't understand. I mean, what the Christians, even though we know they send their guys to seminary school, some type of training, one thing we can say, at least the Christians are at least doing things properly, or making their guys go to some type of education and schooling process before they are allowed to speak. I know this personally because I come out of a family of ministers and ordained preachers and who went through a time period of schooling. But in this Israelite walk, and this is something I'm pretty sure we all can agree, this is what we commonly see. Not all, but a good portion. Brothers get together, they get in a group, and then all of a sudden, somebody or there's one person who may have a little strength within the scriptures as far as his understanding. And there's nothing wrong with people teaching. But mentally, I tend to notice that we have way too many people in the wrong places. And way too many the wrong people in the right places. We're having people teaching over us who are not psychologically fit to teach. This is what I'm seeing. When you see a bunch of guys who yell and scream and curse and use the word of God to justify it, something is wrong. In Israel, we don't have any type of method, we don't have any type of schooling or any type of education or some type of training process before brothers are teaching. Brothers are just getting together, congregating on the Sabbath, or doing Bible studies on Tuesday or Wednesday or Thursday nights, and all of a sudden, they're just teaching. And a lot of these brothers don't even have enough years of study under their belt. They just became an Israelite 6 months ago, and now all of a sudden they're teaching over 20 to 15 people. This is a major issue, and this is a reality that we have to deal with. This is a sad reality. And for some reason, it's these same brothers, which seems to be very common. It's these same individuals who have a hate towards our sisters. It never fails. And I've been in Israel for a long time, and I tend to see the same traits It's the same spirit. And but how would I address these brothers? I will first pray, because only the Most High can change their hearts, and try to do my best to implement some type of order, because brothers want to use order all the time. But like I said earlier when the show first started, brothers throw that word order when they feel like a woman is uncontrollable. That's when they throw that word order. No, order goes for us men as well. When the men are out of pocket, it is our sister's job. That's what it means to be there, to be for or against. And it also, and what we mean to be against is when the sisters see that their brothers are out of order. They have that right, God-given right, to put us back in our place. And which, as you can see in Israel, a lot of brothers or a lot of these men are walking around here thinking they can't be corrected. And that is a problem. And that is why, as a whole, publicly or digitally on the internet and various other places, this community is not getting the respect that its so-called feels it should get. And I'm going to fall back to this.
One more quick thing? I'm going to say one more quick
go ahead,
thing.
brother.
Because you talked about seminary school, all right? And so I just want to make it clear. I woke up. I was awakened to who I am in seminary school. Okay, so a lot of these brothers that talk bad on these schools, they don't even understand what's being taught in these schools. All right, so for me, my degrees are from Liberty University, which is a Christian school. And, they're teaching Sunday church, Sunday going to worship and all of these things. But the thing that woke me up was I had a class that taught me we had to break down every word in the book of Acts. And I'm going through it, and I saw that Paul said that he was never teaching against the law and the prophets. And it immediately registered to me, hold on, well, if he's not teaching against this, let me go back. And I had to go back, and I did the same study that they told me to do with the entire book of Acts, with the entire Tanakh, and then did it again with the entire New Testament. So for people just to automatically discredit these seminary schools without even knowing exactly what's being taught, because basically what they teach you is they'll say, well, here are the various thoughts on each subject. And then they'll say, most scholars say this. Now, you can take that and run with most scholars, or you can actually take the time to study. And once you study, the professors won't tell you that you're wrong. They may not like your Christian worldview, your worldview of what is being taught, but they'll give you an A if you can do the work, if you know the work. And all praise the Most High, graduated magna cum laude just by studying and keeping Torah and learning what this thing was really saying. And my paper is completely different from the rest of my classmates. So we need to be careful with just being against education. We have to learn to get educated in this if we are really going to overcome these things. So that's it.
Is there anything else you'd like to say, sis, if you're still on?
Oh, I'm still here. No. You both you brothers just answered those questions beautifully. There's nothing I can add to what you said. I just appreciate the topic, and thank you for giving me time to ask my questions. And
it's all good, sister. Much love to you, and we appreciate you, and always know here on the Man Up segment, if there's any questions or comments or observations that you want to bring to the table and share and expound with us, you are always welcome, sister. And we, like I said here, we love our women here. And we love you and we appreciate you.
Praises to the Most High. Shalom.
Shalom, sis.
Shalom, sis. All right, I see we are picking up with the phone lines. I see we have more people standing by with the phone calls. We have about 40 minutes on the air, family. We have 40 minutes in the air. So let's get some more of these calls. Let's go to 267-283. You're live on air.
Shalom, Aki. This is Bashua. How are you this evening?
Good evening, sister. Much love to you.
Much love. I'm going to be honest. I listened to this with a little bit of trepidation. Reason being, when I saw the title, I'm thinking, oh, my goodness, don't tell me this is going to be another group of brothers talking about what women need to be and how they should be, because a lot of times, and I've noticed that within the Hebrew community, you have a lot of brothers that are talking and are teaching lessons on how a woman should be this and a woman should be that. A woman should be, the keeper at home, should be the servant to the man. And while there's nothing wrong in and of itself for being to serve your husband, but they concentrate solely on that, the domestic duties. And that's the only thing that they think that women are good for, that, we are not helpmeets or someone to co-rule with them, but someone who's under them, someone who's like a slave to them. So, I'm pleasantly surprised when I did listen to this, and I just want to commend you, brothers, for an excellent show and for the support that you're giving the sisters. I know a lot of sisters are definitely appreciating this from what I've been hearing, as do I. I just wanted to encourage you to keep it up with this show, and it's awesome. Thank you.
Well, praise the Most High, and thank you, sister, for listening. And we appreciate you for listening in and expounding your information and your knowledge. And we do it for the people. And when we say the people, we mean men and women. We don't hate women here. We love them. And we're going to do the best we can to make sure that our women and all people understand that.
Praise the Most High. All right, we appreciate your call. I'm looking on the switchboard, and we only have one more person standing by. That's press number 1, but we have a lot of callers checking out the show. We appreciate your family. Again, if you have any questions or any comments, this is your time. You know that number, 319-527-6239. If you're on the show now, don't wait till the YouTube archive is up and start making comments on YouTube. You can voice your opinion right now. Don't wait till the YouTube archives go up and you got a whole lot to say, but you're listening to the show live. Make sure you call in. We want to hear from you. Again, that number is 319-527-6239. We're going back to Sister Doris. Go ahead.
I would like to thank him for touching on that area regarding seminary, because they really downplay that. If they talking about, you went to seminary, or that's Catholic, that's pagan, that's not true. You know what I mean? You should learn, and you have to study, and you got to read the whole Bible. They give them, like, pre-made precepts and, drill it in them. And you got to read the whole story, or you're going to miss a lot. But a great show. Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome, Sister Doris. And that is true. Like I was saying about the seminary school, at least the Christians do it. At least they make sure before any of their men or women teach that they're getting the proper education or the proper schooling. And there's nothing wrong with that. But in Israel, Israel don't want to do that, because Israel think just because they know they Israel, the Most High revealed it to me. I done heard teachers say this. Okay. Well, since I'm Israel, the Most High already revealed his word to me, and we are the only ones qualified to teach his word. Yeah. Everybody else should be beneath us. This is what we're hearing, and when people think like that, I cannot and I will not take you seriously. I will just I will either laugh now or cry later, or vice versa. Because it's getting to a point to where this is getting ridiculous, and it's a bad look publicly, because the more showboating and the more and a lot of these brothers are doing this for prestige. They are. They don't care about the people that follow them. They don't care about the homes they break up. They don't care. As long as they get their views on Facebook, as long as they get their views on YouTube, as long as they get all these different praises and accolades from the world, that's what they tend to care about only. It's a shame that the Word of God has come down, and I'm not going to say the Word of God. It's a shame that people have taken the Word of God to this level. Mm-hmm. It is a shame, because this Word is very powerful, and if we just come back to the Most High by reading His Word and understanding what He has already revealed, getting a proper understanding, our nation or our people will be in much better conditions than we are in today. Anonymous, if you want to land back, you go right ahead, brother.
I just want to commend Sister Doris, because I've heard some brothers sometimes be disrespectful to her, and she still, if she stay right there in the ring. And so I commend her, and I commend all our sisters. It just, we appreciate y'all, and we need y'all. And I'll probably say more in the closing statements, but thank you for calling in, Sister Doris. And I know sometimes people may be certain ways towards you, but we appreciate you, and we appreciate strong women. And just keep growing, keep praying, and keep standing in the faith. All praise the Most High.
Amen. Amen.
All right, we appreciate the support. We do have somebody else pressing number 1. Like I said, this is your time, family. This is your time. Like I said, do not wait till it goes up in the archives on YouTube, and you got a whole lot to say after that. If you're listening live on the air, you might as well call in, send me an email, debatetalkforyou@gmail.com. We have a whole lot of listeners listening via phone. I see some Skype callers out there. You can press number 1 if you're on Skype, and we'll add you in the conversation. Let's go back to the phone line. So let's go to 916-747. You're live on air.
This is Sister Ashanti calling back. Anonymous Hebrew and Brother B.A. When Sister Malaka called in and asked about the aspect, or talked about the aspect of forgiveness, we can see the concept of forgiveness when the Most High put clothes upon Adam and Eve, or Hawa, and gave them another chance to get it right. And that's a powerful deity. That's a powerful force of energy that's driving us, right? That animates us, that sparks us to be the creations that He created us to be. So my question is, when a brother has a hard time forgiving a woman, and he claims that he serves the most powerful force or energy or deity or God or Elohim out there, what's your take on that? Because if you serve that Most High, if you serve that power, that means that power has imparted in you the ability, the capability, that strength, that willingness to forgive, right? So I just wanted to get you guys' aspect on that, the forgiveness, because we know if you don't forgive your brother or your sister, how do you expect the Most High to forgive you, give you another chance to get it right? Are you?
Yo, Anonymous, you want to take this one first, and not fall back after you? I'll land back on you because I want to get something from a lexicon when she was talking about the word clothes. There's something powerful that I read.
Yeah,
before, so.
I was looking too, but I'll let you do it. You knock that out. I'll just go ahead and I'll do this first part. Asking question, and I was trying to remember. I knew I forgot something about what Sister Malaka had said. So thanks for bringing that back up, Sister Shanti. I would say it's two aspects. One is some of these brothers really are in a lot of pain, right? And so I don't want to say definitively that they aren't dealing with the Most High. I will say this, though. If you were just to the point where you were just dead set on browbeating women based upon past hurts and past pains, like that's a sure sign that you are not really walking in the Ruach, really doing like Abram did, and just becoming whole, actually walking in the instructions of the Most High. That's not to say that you won't have relapses and get mad and see these, traumatic experiences come back in your head and maybe have a revert and then have to go back and ask for forgiveness. That brother, the brother that's, trying to work it out, that's the brother that's working with the Most High and trying to really live this out, and he's making mistakes. The brother that's just so pig-headed and stubborn that he's so misogynistic that he can't hear anything, that's the brother we have to either be aware of and actually get to the point where we almost start to remove these people from the kingdom in terms of not really dealing with them, listening to them, have anything to do with them. Don't even give them our support because they really are detrimental. Brother B.A. made a good point when he was talking about a lot of these brothers have some real issues that they have to work through. And I'm going to tell y'all, all the stuff I did overseas and all of that stuff, it took a lot of work to overcome that. And it can be done. You can overcome any amount of trauma if you're ready to do the work, right? And so I will say it depends on the brother's state of mind, where they at. If they are trying and they just keep messing up and just can't get it right, but they trying, then that's where we learn we got to forgive 70 times 7. But if they just really out here going in, we have to stay away from them. We have to let them know we're not supporting you, and we have to teach other people not to support that as well. Go ahead, Brother Beard.
Yes, sis, and I'm looking up the word in the Hebrew section, clothe, and the Hebrew word is labash, and it's 3847 for those who don't believe me, because people will actually say he made it up. This is a shocker to me at times when I hear that, but that's just what it is. And the word means wrap around, to put on a garment or clothe oneself or another, literal or figurative. But check this out. Labesh or labash means to put on a garment, clothe, wear, be clothed. Labash is found very early in the Old Testament, Genesis chapter 3 and 21. Unto Adam also and to his wife did the Lord God make coats of skin and clothe them. As always, God provided something much better for man than man could do for himself. In this instance, coats of skin to replace fig leaf garments. Labash is regularly used for putting on of ordinary clothing. The word also describes the putting on of armor. So in other words, as you can see, the Most High provides, like my sis was saying, that also shows a sign of forgiveness. And we have people who actually teach that the Most High never told us to forgive our enemies. I have actually heard people say that. And when I hear that, that is also mind-boggling. And then when we have these kind of teachings going out, we have to be, that causes concern. Because not only do these brothers are not forgiving their mothers or the women that may have offended them in their past, these brothers were not forgiving our enemies. We're not forgiving our oppressor. And like Christ said himself, you are to forgive 77 times 77, or 7 times over. That is a concept. That is a key to the kingdom. You cannot call yourself a anointed man of God or a man of the Most High if you're walking around here with animosity towards other people. It also says in Proverbs not to envy your oppressor, or I'm paraphrasing, but not to envy your oppressor or to have none of his ways. Because when you do envy him, you start acting like him. And this is the one thing I see that's commonly going on with Israel. For those who are on the front line when it comes to the internet videos, who have the prestige of trying to get their names out there, they say one thing, they're anointed or called by the Most High, and they're acting contrary. And the reason why I see this, because I believe there is a big misunderstanding of what the Most High has revealed. The flesh profit nothing; it is the spirit that quicketh. A lot of these brothers are carnal-minded. That's the problem. And if Ashanti, if you're still there, you can go ahead and add to that or expound some more if you would like, if you're still there.
Yeah, I'm still here. Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yep, we can hear you, sis.
Okay. The title of the show is the Righteous Woman Forgotten and Left Behind. Like you just said, we picked up a lot of our oppressors and enemies' ways. There's a film I purchased from YouTube. It's about $10. It's called The Mask You Live In, and it's a play on the word masculine. And it goes into the root and how to resolve the principle over here in America, the westernized state of mind of masculinity. But they're looking at or revisiting things that are taught to our boys, when they're 5, 6, 7 years old. 7 years old. Don't cry. Be a man. Don't be a sissy. 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 Be don't show no emotion. And this has produced in some of our men an insecurity. And that insecurity doesn't have to be. So it's revisiting how to go about making sure, to be secure, and that your emotions are a reflection of your inner being. And that inner being is an aspect of the spirit. So what I'm saying is I don't believe that most of the men want to leave the righteous women behind. They don't know how to bring them along. They don't know how to operate in the traits given to them, because the traits that have been given to them are told those are not masculine. You see what I'm saying? It's a great movie, an hour and a half. Has some people from Oakland in it. It has an ex-football player. It has some teachers, but what do you guys think about that? Because a lot of our brothers, like my husband, he's very secure. He does a great job of helping around the house. I mean, inside the house and outside. Myself, inside and outside. I'm talking about from the living room to the kitchen to the backyard. Same as me. He's very secure in his thing. So he's bringing along. He's very secure in his masculinity. He has learned to embrace those traits in him, and he knows those traits are from the Most High. Those traits are what is in his DNA. So he knows how not to leave a righteous woman behind. And that's just what I want to put out there as a question. Do you think the insecurities, do you think the way the westernized world is portraying masculinity is kind of doing our young brothers a disservice to be able to bring along their women and not leave them behind? Shalom.
Shalom, sis. That's a good way of looking at it. I am convinced that the brothers. I'll say this. I'll say yes, in a sense. I'll say that yes. I believe the brothers are. They may not know how to, and that sounds like that's what I tend to see from time to time. But it always goes back to misunderstanding what the Most High has revealed as well. That's what it goes back to, because I see that the brothers want to do right, but this attitude of not being corrected, that's the problem. It's a misunderstanding. That's what it always goes back to. So we have to learn how to be humble and be willing to listen. There are things in the Bible that are not there verbatim. I tend to notice that most people have to be like, thou shalt treat your woman right. I know people who literally need to see that, because they're so far gone from reality that they have an inhumane way of thinking that they'll just go by, well, the book don't say that. And then, as you can see, if we come to a point where we have to have the Most High verbatim say, thou should treat your woman right, then we have a lot of cleaning up to do. The spirit should be able to tell you. The spirit should be able to tell you that you are supposed to treat all people right. It shouldn't come down to in the book where it should say verbatimly, treat your women right. It shouldn't come down to that. But this is the mindset of a lot of our brothers. And how I know this, because I used to think that way. Mm-hmm. It take one to know one. So I used to think, I used to think women couldn't speak. I used to think a woman couldn't teach, because an elder or some type of Hebrew was teaching that. So now I'm reading the Bible with somebody else's eyes. And this is the problem. We have way too many Negroes teaching, reading the Bible, or reading the Word of the Most High with somebody else's eyes. And one thing about these brothers and the relationship with their elders, as you can see, the relationship is very close, And there's nothing wrong with having a close relationship with your elder. There's nothing wrong with having the love for the one who has taught you. But as human beings, we should be able to tell, or should have enough sense to critique or to examine what we're being taught. And like one of the sisters brought up a few weeks back, a lot of these elders, a lot of these teachers have this concept that they have ascended past the clouds, that they cannot be corrected. And if you're going around with that type of attitude, guess what else is going to happen? It's going to reflect on your students, because we are a product of our environment, especially as Hebrews. When we're around individuals that think a certain way, it tends to happen. Everybody thinks the same way. So if you're going around teaching that women can't teach, if you're going around saying women can't speak, if you're going around saying a woman has to keep her head literally covered when she comes into the temple, if you're going around saying that a woman is supposed to shut up and not say nothing, then guess what's going to happen in that congregation or within that group of people? You're going to predominantly have that way of thought. That's just very common. And we have 15 minutes left on the air. If anybody wants to call, the number is, let me get to it. Hold on for a second. I keep forgetting the number. Sal, forgive me for that. The number is 319-527-6239. Again, 319-527-6239. If you would like to email a question, go to debatetalkforyou@gmail.com. Again, debatetalkforyou@gmail.com. And Anonymous, you want to land back, or you got anything to say?
Yeah, just real quick. She had talked about the Western raising, especially young males, and it's something that I'm currently in right now. So it's specifically important to me. You know, I deal with my 10-month-old son every day, and I've had to go back and reread all of these books that I read, like in my undergrad, about early childhood development and the need to give them the opportunity to express themselves and not just make them feel like they have to be so tough. You know, the older he gets, there are going to be some lessons I do have to teach him, just in terms of how to be a strong man. But to teach a little kid, the worst thing you can do is look at your son and tell him, don't cry. Little boys aren't supposed to cry, especially when they're 10 months, 11 months, and you have no idea what they're crying about. When they're 1 year old, 2 years old, 7 years old, the worst thing you can do is tell them that they are not supposed to cry, because now they don't know how to deal with their emotions. And so when they see a woman cry, they're going to look at a woman and either view them as weak when they cry, or just automatically say, you shouldn't be crying. Right? This is the worst thing you can do. That is completely a Western mindset, to impose these stereotypical gender roles, especially on young children. You know, now there are some boys that need to be toughened up. Like I have a younger cousin, we have to toughen him up, but it's not about don't cry, treat women this way. It's more about, you know, we got to get out here and get you physical. You know, we have to work out a little bit. We have to do some push-ups. Let's go run and play a little basketball, play a little football, because we need to get his physicality up. But since he is a thinker, I also encourage him. But, you know, I take him to museums and I do these different things. So I guess the point that I'm making is we have to learn balance. This is what the man and the woman are supposed to be in the house. That's what Echad is about, is balance. And if you're just steadily harping these weird stereotypes onto these children especially, you're really doing our community a disservice. I almost quoted some Tupac lines, just because you will have a race of babies that will hate the ladies. I hate to quote rap, but this is really what you're dealing with. You're seeing we're seeing the generation of these men that literally were raised to be these mean, stereotypical men, and now they hate women. So we got to get away from that.
All right, Sal, we got any more callers?
Now, without any more callers standing by, so we can pretty much wind down. You can wind down.
Okay. All right, Anonymous, my brother, if you would like to go ahead with your closing statements, and most definitely, my brother, and once again, I appreciate you, brother, and much love to you.
Just really brief. First off, obviously, all praise to the Most High God, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. I want to thank Sal for providing this platform and giving me an opportunity to be on here. Obviously, thank my brother B.A., who I consider now a friend. We've built a good friendship, and I can't wait till when I get back to my home state of California to sit back and really build with my brother in person. Just to Israel, we are growing. We are doing the work, but now it's time to hone in and really become specific in the areas that we know that we can get better in. And one of those areas is how we treat our women. Our women have some strong voices. They have experienced a lot, and so that wisdom and that truth that they can bring to the table is something that we need. And so I will continue to say I'm not a teacher. The more I learn, the more I know I need to learn. And so I would just say, I got a heart for all y'all, and Yah willing, I will be able to do more in the kingdom. And that's all I got.
Thank you, my brother.
And what's the email for those who want to reach out to you?
Yeah, go ahead. Anonymous, give us your information on social media or whatever you would like to share, brother.
Like I said, I think I said before, I'm building a website right now. But until that's done right now, it's just privatehebrew7@gmail.com. That's privatehebrew7@gmail.com. I also have an IG, just Anonymous Hebrew. Not really on social media like that, but I know I need to. That's what me and Brother B.A. was talking about too. So I know I need to. So, but right now it's just privatehebrew7@gmail.com, and then once I get the other stuff up, I will get that to Sal.
Thanks again, my brother. Appreciate you. And you're about to close out. Praise the Most High in the name of His holy, only, and anointed Mashiach or Messiah, known as Yeshua the Christ. We thank the Most High. We thank Sal for allowing the man of segment to come to life. Most High willing, we will bring out more information concerning the conduct of Israelites or the conduct of men and women of God. I hope that the information on here, people were blessed by it and edified. Hope that it helps. Hope that this information is a light to those who are in need, who are in darkness. Now, next week, I've been trying to get something lined up for the show next week. I've been having a little difficulty trying to get people to commit to it because I know everybody's preparing for Passover. So I put out a challenge to a person. Hopefully he's listening. I put out a challenge to a person. He was complaining about the show I did was so real last week, and he waited a week after the show to start running his mouth. So hopefully, if he would like, he said that it was a three-dimensional conversation and it was worthless and it was full of this and full of that. So I told him, okay, it's easy to say a week later, why can't you just call in and let us know how you felt? So if that brother is or that person is listening, I am proposing that you come out next week on Wednesday and state the issue you had that me and So Real were talking about concerning the gospel. I don't want to hear nothing else. I want to hear the issues you had with the conversation concerning the gospel. And with that, this is Brother B.A. Ben Abraham out of Sacramento, California. Much love to all. I appreciate all. And with that being said, Sal, take it away.